Hey, Troy Perry here with my 88 K5 Blazer, and I am going to be working on this for a little while. Going to get it ready for paint and body. I'm getting the seats out, I'm getting the windows out, getting the vents windows out, restoring those. It needs a new heater core, so the dash has got to come out. So quite a bit of work to do here, and going to get the carpet out, going to go back with a vinyl liner in. I've got a cool paint scheme that I'm looking to do. Should be a lot of fun. Truck's got a lot of good bones. It's got a good top on it. Everything, just basically new seals and things like that. But it's got a cool roof rack that's in really good shape. Just looking to have a lot of fun with it. You can see I've actually already started. So that other side over there, we've removed all of the door skin parts. We've removed the glass, both the vent window and the door glass and the actuator. All of that is out. The window seals, the door seals leaked and allowed water in, so we've got some rocker rot over there on the passenger side, tiny bit on the driver's side, also a little bit of floor panel rot. And so my paint and body guy's gonna fix all that up nice for us. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take apart almost this entire door. I still want it to be functional for shutting because I am going to have to drive it to paint and body after this. I'm going to leave the door handles on and all that, but I am going to take out all of the glass. In order to get this vent window out, you might not be able to see in this video just yet, but in order to get this vent window out, I've got to get this mirror off because there's a bar on the inside that has to be removed. This mirror has to come off first. So this is just a T20 on the bottom, and I doubt this has ever been removed, but it comes off pretty easily. It's a little small T20 there. And then this will loosen up and just gently work it up so you can actually see the screws beneath it. They're on the underside of it. Now we can lift that up out of the way so we can see this right here. All right, and so you're gonna need a 3/8, and it's easier to use a wrench on these, box-in wrench, because it's kind of hard to get to these parts. So I am using a box-in wrench. They come off pretty easily. There's 3 of them. We're gonna take those off, and then we'll remove the mirror. So one of the things that I have seen recently, and maybe they're not as recent, maybe they're just recent to me, but these ratcheted wrenches, man, they are really nice. If you can slide them in there. Unfortunately, on this one you can't. But up here, where it's kind of a tight fit, can't really get what I want back there. Man, these are worth their weight in gold. Notice I had my hand on that after I got the bolts out. It's going to feel like it's stuck to it, and it was. You can see all this nasty goop underneath it. That'll be nice to have all this out of the way and this looks like there's something going on in here, probably. Let's see what the glass looks like. This glass is broken. I don't think you can replace the glass on this, so this one's shot. So this will probably just end up recycled somewhere, hopefully. But and we'll just end up getting a new one for this side. But the other one, the glass was not broken, and it looked like it was in pretty good shape, so we'll keep it. All right, I'll just stick those bolts back in. We'll be good. So actually, this bottom bolt we can't put back in. We don't want to put back in because that's the one we need out to get that bar on the inside out. So we're going to keep that one out. Put the other two, just kind of hand tighten them so we don't lose them. And I'll stick this on my magnet over here. All right, so now we're on the inside of the door, and my partner here is working across these screws on the bottom. Lefty-loosey, there you go. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 across, and then there's a couple across up here. That's going to get that bottom carpet out. I've actually gone ahead and purchased new carpets for this, but what I am going to do is I'm going to keep this piece of trim right here because we don't want to lose that. And here you go, partner. That's magnetized. You just stick those screws right in there. And while he works on that, I'm just gonna take a look at this. I'm gonna need to pry these off, and I have a kit here for that. Plastic trim kit. I really advise getting one of these plastic trim kits. This has, I don't know, it's probably 30 pieces in it, and it keeps you from boogering stuff up. So I have not done one of these, but it just comes off pretty easy. But notice I didn't have to use I didn't want to use a screwdriver in there because I don't want to mess that up. That might be salvageable. It looks like it is. Probably clean that up pretty good and possibly reuse it. I'll get both of those off. Just a little bit of a pry, work that out. It looks like what I probably should have done is work that from the back. If I'd have pinched this from the back here, that would have been a little easier to take off. But
let me do the top ones too.
Yes, please. So he's going to continue working on that, and I believe that was a 27. It's not, a little smaller, maybe 25. This is a 20, and it's getting these off, but they're not very tight. I think if they were a little tighter, a 20 wouldn't work, but I don't have anything in between. I'm gonna leave those screws in there because they're holding. That way I don't lose them. But these are pretty big screws because this is your, for the driver's side, this is the only oh lordy handle you got, and it helps you shut the door. But I think what I'm going to do, I may end up not putting the leather straps back on. I may end up with starting to come off. That's okay, but hold it. I may end up just with a aluminum piece here, a brushed aluminum, brushed stainless here, or maybe chrome, and then just using the door handle itself to shut the door. That seems to be the advice. What'd you say?
Should I put gloves on?
You can if you want, sure. So a couple things I want to show you here. This piece of trim right here that I'm going to try to salvage, I'm not sure if I'll be able to. You can see it's, I don't know. Well, see, that might just be dirt and goop. Probably somebody spilled a Coke on it at some point in its lifetime. But we're going to get these, we're just going to bend these tabs back, every single one of them, and then we're going to pull this off of the carpet and save that. These actually, these covers are in pretty good shape. I'll probably end up recycling those, maybe take them to my parts store because the new carpets I have already have these on. But I'll probably clean these up and take them over there and maybe throw them on their sale table, trade them out for something. We'll see if they'll take them. All right, got my partner again helping me out. We're going to pull these door latch cups out. And so go ahead and undo these. There's 2 screws in there. And just be careful as you're doing this to not scratch the metal with your metal screwdriver, buddy. And easy. Now what you're going to want to do is, as you see them get loose, don't let them come all the way out, because then if they drop, they might be hard to find. So we'll stick our fingers in there and we'll get the rest of it out by hand. These are pretty loose. They're not really jammed in there. It's I'll show you a trick. Turn your hand over like this and put it on, pinch the screwdriver itself, and then work back here like this. You turn and hold, turn and hold, turn and hold. And now it's almost out. That gives you a lot more control over the screwdriver. All right. And then this cup, you're going to just slide it forward like so and pull it out. All right. And it looks like it's in pretty good shape too. I think I already bought new ones of these, and I probably will go ahead and use the new ones, but I might just still clean this up and throw it on eBay or something. It's not too bad. All right, so this is the pouch here, the door pouch. I found a guy who has these made, and I went ahead and bought a couple. Bought a set of them. It's about $110 for a set. They look pretty good, but also these aren't in terrible condition, so I may end up returning those. It's a really good place. Dave's Truck Parts. I think you can get everything from a 49 Chevy all the way through 90s model Chevy trucks, Blazers, Suburbans, all kinds of stuff. He's got a whole wall for that what you just heard was not a good sound. That was my screw cup with the screws magnetized, and it just got dropped, and I just watched him splatter across the floor. I think someone may have just learned a very valuable lesson on watching what you're doing as he picks up screws. All right, so I'm going to stop here with the pocket because it's got some plastic nipples on it keeping it in, and I don't want to do those from the outside. I want to push them through from the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the door off, and then we'll work on that. And so in order to do that, there's going to be 2 screws in here, and there's a few screws across the bottom here, none on the back, obviously none on the top. And then, we'll get the lock, we'll unscrew the lock piece off, and then we're going to ease this up. There are some, the way that the things are latched in here and the window wipe, how it all works together. It's very brittle. It's going to start breaking apart, which is fine because we're going to replace all of that for good reason. So I'm going to work on that, and then once I get these screws out, then we'll come back and we'll watch how we take the top piece out. So he's going to work on those screws here. I'm going to take I'll get it for you, bud.
It's hard with the door moving at the same time.
Yeah, so what you can do is push it all the way open, scoot up, and then just prop your knee where it doesn't bounce. There you go. Now you're on wheels, so you might want to keep one foot on the floor. So while he does that, I'm gonna take the door lock here, and my other one was good, but this one's cracked, and this is something else that you can get. If this was just scratched up or just faded out, I'd probably just repaint it, but it's actually cracked right there across the top, unfortunately. So all right, so if it stops coming out, then we'll just let it stop and we'll move.
It's not stopping, it was tight in
It's just getting tight. So it might just take a little more elbow grease. Yeah, so what was happening is this was starting to back out and pushing down on the thread and pushing it back further. So if that's happening, you just give it a little bump sometimes and that'll stop that. All right, we'll be back in just a minute after Coop gets these screws out. All right, so we're looking down into our door handle here, and you can see that everything is kind of, just change the camera angle here just a little bit. So you can see it's separated here some. That's because from shutting this door 1.5 million times, it has bent the underworkings of it a little bit. And now the problem is this screw head is now facing at an angle back toward the inside of the door. I can get to it, but, and this is not a very long screwdriver, unfortunately, but I can get to it and get it to start working because it's not rusted in there, but I'd be much better off if I had a screwdriver that would have the thin part of the shaft here on the door, as opposed to having the handle sort of making the thing stick out at the wrong angle. Unfortunately, I don't have one here in this shop, so I'm gonna have to just work with it, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. You can see it'll work out occasionally and not keep that good bite like I need. So Looks like I probably got it loose now, so that's good. And I'll just work on the other side. Yep.
He said she doesn't think so.
This one you can tell is not at an angle because the screwdriver just goes right down straight into it. It's good. And the interesting thing is that's exactly how it was on the other door. Is it was the one closest to the door latch, or to where the door opens. This one over, not the front one, but the back one, I guess. It was problematic on the other side too. So if you got a longer screwdriver, something that'll get you past the top of your door frame, you're better off. So I loosened these screws. Because this is rubber, these screws aren't going to really come out, but you can tell that I've gotten them away from what they were screwed into. And so now I'm just going to make sure that everything is off here, and we're going to have to start working here to work this out. There we go. So I just, you can see I just work it back and forth a little bit. We've still got a hook. So I roll the window down, as you can see, and just you can see now where you've got to work these clips. And it looks like I've got, I think we're there. Oop. I think we're there. Something's stopping me, and I'm not be the. Oh, there it is, right there. But just this one on the end had to lift up, but then the door handle on the other side. And don't forget, you have your wires that are still there, so you're gonna need to hang on to it and support that while you get the wires off. All right, so we're on the side with the wiring now. This is my door lock and my window control, and I'm gonna need to get that disconnected so the door panel can continue to come all the way off. So these little caps right here just twist off. That's what's really giving it a good solid hold. Interestingly enough, it's not threaded, but I was missing these from the other side. So I think that's because it was probably worked on at some point and not, and these just work right out. At least they did on the other side. Might have to give a little bit of plastic pry on it. And I've got some small tools for that to not, we don't want to booger it up, and we don't want to bend them, so we want to work them out kind of all evenly at the same time. So I'll pry a little bit on the front, I'll pry a little bit on the back. You know, half of doing this work is just making sure you don't, you know, it's not like we're trying to demolish it. We just want to get it apart so we can, but we want to be able to put it back together is my point. So. There's window unit. This one might be a little easier. Not quite as many points of contact. Well, I'm not so worried about that. I did break it. That's what I was trying not to do. So I broke where these contacts then get pressed inside the actual window or door lock button. But it's not a big deal because I've actually ordered new ones anyway. And the reason I have is because these are really pitted out. So they're kind of come off and get new ones in. So I'm not terribly worried about that, but now we have the door skinned and just a few pieces left to take off. We're going to work through here in just a second. If I wanted to get now the rest of my door pocket off, I can press much easier from the back here to get that off without boogering it up. So there you go. So I got my window controller back out. And the reason I wanted to make sure I reconnected is because I'm still going to have to operate this glass up and down in order to be able to get it out. So we're just going to reconnect it There are 4 nipple or connections across the bottom, 2 at the top. Pretty self-explanatory. You just stick it back in, make sure you got a good connection, and then I can come turn my ignition on. And you can see my window works. It is super slow. We're gonna fix all of that here in just a little bit. So continuing to take some parts off of this thing. These guys are for your door molding. This is what they screw into, what that wood carpet screws into here, down here. And these just slide out, they pull right out. I believe you can buy these pretty easily, but I'll try to hang on to them. Plastic may be old, so probably end up not necessarily using them. So that bar I was telling you about for this vent window that'll give us trouble here in a little bit, this is that bolt for it right here. And so it's unscrewed from the other side already. So when I take this off, be careful, that bar will fall into the door. I've still got to fish it out from the other side, just haven't done it yet. That leather strap is pulling on this right here, exactly, for shutting the door, so it has to be there. This hole, in a few minutes, once I get these things off, we're gonna roll the glass up, and then we're gonna work on, I'm not sure yet if I want to take this side off first or if I want to take the glass out first. I think I'm going to do exactly what I did before and take the vent window out first. And there's some screws down along here that we'll have to get out. And maybe one on the back side. I'll take a look here in just a second. But you can see why I'm doing that. This is in really rough shape. I mean, it's just so rusted in there. This lets a lot of water in. That water comes down here, it gets underneath your carpet. Once it's underneath the carpet, it rots your floorboards, it rots your rockers, it rots the bottom of the door. The other side was a lot worse. So, pardon the dogs in the background. Looks like they're running dogs and hunting rabbits today, day after Thanksgiving here in good old Lincoln County. All right, I'll get to work on getting these screws out, and then I'll show you how these things angle out here in just a bit. So most of these are 7/16. I end up using these wrenches a lot. There's so many places where it's hard to get where the door metal is. It's hard to get a socket in there. So I end up using a lot of box wrenches. I believe all of these are a 7/16. Yeah. Everything that you're going to have to do in here is going to be a 7/16. So just good to know. I lied. This is actually, this bolt right here is a 3/8. Yeah, 3/8. And this is the one that's going to drop that bar down, that's that mirror, supporting that mirror from the outside. So I'm just going to put my fingers through here, and I'm holding that, trying to hold that bar from the backside. It's not exactly easy as I work that out. Hopefully I won't drop it this time. All right, I was able to hang on to it. This is what that looks like. You can see it just connects, a little S bracket, connects over there to the door. So I'm just gonna actually leave this screw right where it is because I don't want to lose it. Getting this vent window out right here, again, it's all rusted out in this corner down here. Very common with these. I actually had contemplated, a little confession time here, removing these and going with the solid glass and doing a vent window delete. I got hammered on a K5 forum I was on. Some of the old timers on there, and I guess that's kind of me now, judging from the gray hair, are like, you can't do that, that's terrible, don't ever do that. So, all right, I'm not doing it. I'm actually went ahead and bought some kits. We're gonna replace we're gonna keep the glass and pretty much replace everything else about it. So in order to do that, we gotta get it out. In order to get it out, you gotta start up here at the top with these screws. Right here, there's one here, and then there's one here, and then I believe there's one more, 1, 2, seems like maybe it is just 2 up here. I think it is. Yeah, it's just 2 up here, and then there's gonna be another one for this long bracket. This long bracket right here goes down into the door, and there's a bolt on the other side, right? Yeah, where is it? I believe it's this guy right here. I'm almost positive it's this guy right here. This will come out, and that'll allow this whole thing, now that we got this middle bar out, this bar that was in here, allow that whole thing to wiggle out. Got everything loosened up. I can start to wiggle this now, as you can see, just wiggling a little bit. But I got this guy's in my way. Now this is old and brittle, and half the reason that there's water in this door is that these window wipes just really, you got to replace them eventually. But we'll have to move this out of here in order for this to move back and forth. Probably have to move this window channel right here, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. We'll get this out. We'll get all that out here and finish getting this door apart. I just pull straight up on it. You see how bad that is? That's also causing our window to really slow down as it's coming through that window track. This is supposed to be felt that it makes it easy, and when it's brittle and old like this, it just makes life hard. So that's part, and you can see in here, we'll talk about all this later when we talk about refurbing this guy, but now this comes out a little easier. I don't really care how bad I damage this, frankly, because this is junk. It's terrible. I'm gonna get a whole new set of window wipes. And I don't believe they're very cheap, but they're definitely necessary. So, all right, so you can see I had to get all of this molding out, this seal out. Now we've got this kind of at an angle in the track up here, but everything is loose. But I really do want to be careful. I'm trying to bend this up, and I don't want to mess it up. I get a little stuck. I'm still just going to be careful. I don't want to twist it. I don't want to get it out of shape, because I'm really trying hard not to have to do a lot more work than I want to. So this, I'm going to put this back in here. And this, there we go. And now this rolls out. It's got a little hook there. You just gotta kind of roll it out, and there you have it. And this sucker right here, these are a little bit of a chore. There's some good videos out there. I'm gonna do one of my own just because it's all part of the door reconstruct. But we'll get to this guy a little later. We're gonna have, the only thing that's gonna be left out of this is the glass and this frame here. This guy right here, it looks like it's all in good shape, but we're going to get a new locking mechanism. We're going to get a whole new frame with spring, the nut, the whole 9 yards. And then we're going to actually clean all this up to make it look, I know it can't be seen, but it certainly can rust, as you can see here. So we'll get it all cleaned up, get it painted, at least a primer job on it, so it's not rusty while it's in the door. So now all we have left to really get out of here is the glass. And this is really a pain in the butt. And this is an electric motor, so there was plenty of videos on how to do these with the hand cranks, but I couldn't find anything with the electric motor. And what's confusing with the electric motor is of how to get, once you get the glass off, how to actually get the rest of it out. So the main thing is you got to get the glass up to here, and you want to be careful doing that because there's nothing to hold it in its tracks over here anymore. So, which we can't have there if we want to get it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the car on, the truck on. We're going to raise the window up, and then we're going to get it to hold in place. And I've got some styrofoam that's going to help us do that. And then we'll be able to loosen up all the bracket bolts for the window actuator. Then we're going to lower it, and it's going to move those wheels inside the tracks that are in the door. And there's places in that track that allow the wheel to come out. And once that wheel comes out, it loosens up off of this, and now we can just pull the glass straight out. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a little bit. All right, I'm gonna bump the key here. Turn that radio down. I'll quit that here in a second. And now I'm gonna run this window up, but now I'm gonna be careful running this window up because notice how it's running a whole lot faster now? We don't have all that stuff stopping it. We're gonna just get it up here, just bump it. I just want it resting on this corner here. And now what I've got is this is just some styrofoam. I don't even know what it came from, but it's just wide enough that I can put some on both sides and pinch it. Because I just want to give it some support, and really I'm just trying to prevent breaking it. So stick that in there. And that glass is tempered glass. It'll take a little pressure, but we don't want so much that it won't break anything. So I'm gonna get a little on this side out here. All right, now that's about where it needs to be. It could go up a little more. It's tight in there, and I think that's where I'm going to leave it right there. But it should hold it, and I'm actually going to hold it from the outside once I get these bolts out from undone that are holding the actual actuator and frame. All right, so I know what I said about sockets earlier, and it's still not going to be easy, but this guy right here is just the way it's in there. A tapered head socket like what you get on an impact wrench actually allows me to get in there and get that bolt. Now, these are the last two on the bottom for the window frame. These two are holding as well. These will hold it after I take these out because they're through the frame. I'm going to push those through when I'm done, and that will actually loosen all of this up here shortly. So I'll go ahead and let the camera roll, and until
I found this on the web.
It's already starting to loosen up a little bit back there. And stick my through. There we go. Did I miss one? Don't think I've missed one. And it could be that it's this, I've got this too tight. So what I'm gonna do is get my my helper monkey over here, Coop. I know that wasn't doing anything, we'll take it out anyway. Hey, Coop. Well, I think I'm alone now. Okay, yeah, I was right. All the bolts are out, but what I had to do is I had to take the styrofoam out here that I had on the door around the glass. I had to take that out just for a second so I could get some wiggle room, a little bit of travel in it, and then I was able to push these through, and now this seems to be holding it up pretty good. If I come over here, I'm gonna just place my hand under here because all I want is I want this to travel. This X bar down here, I want those wheels to travel, but I also want this to come up. So I do that by actually lowering it. And that should move the wheels in the track. Oh, that's not supposed to happen. So I'm thinking I probably had some rust in there, and something just gave way that shouldn't have, unless this wheel actually came out from this track in here. There's another track right here, and I think that wheel just came out of that. So actually it's not a terrible thing. I can work this now to, I can leave that sitting right there. I can come in from the inside and work that one off. And now I'm gonna push the glass back this way. And that's where I can work it out now. I just want to be real careful because I'm alone. Just naked and afraid here. So I'm gonna hang on to it. Maybe let it down a little bit in here. There we go. Now it's out, and the glass comes out. Whew. And if that made you as nervous as it made me, you got real nervous. So now you can see all this is, we're going to clean out. I don't know if I'm going to order new tracks. It might be a lot like the vent window. Basically what you pry this off very carefully, pry it off, going against the glass this way, never this way, that'll chip the glass. But if you can start prying this off, this is just some rubber here that, and you can see it's all dilapidated, that holds this on. So if these aren't terribly expensive, I may just order some new ones, or I may just go ahead and get these off, get them cleaned up. While I got them off, I'll clean this glass up real nice. I like using new glass. It gets hard water spots off. It works really, really well on getting rid of hard water spots. And I'm sure this 88 K5's probably got some hard water on it. If nothing else, it's certainly got some mildew and stuff down here where these window wipes were worn out and allowing water to collect in here, which allows this to rust and all that. So, all right, we successfully got the glass out. All right, we're focused on the door handle here. This rod has to be out of the way. There's a couple different ways you could do that. I do not want to take this whole unit out because I need the door operational before it goes, so I can close the doors on when I drive it to paint and body. So what I want to do is I just want to get this rod out of the way. So in order to do that, there's a little clip here, and I need to push that forward, right? And then this, literally, the pressure on my hand just lifted that right out. And then that happened. So that's just gonna lay right here. That's what I did on the other side. This bar right here, I'm just gonna lay it down right here. And my hand won't block too much here. Yeah, it looks like it's going to. Let's see. So, let me just get, hopefully I'll be able to get it up. See what it is we're working with. So I'm trying to unplug this guy from the window motor. As soon as I can get that unplugged, we can start to lift this thing out of here. And it's a little bit awkward because you can't really see what it is you're trying to do, but I looked at the old one, and it looks like it just unplugs. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot, like I don't have to pinch anything to get it out. Should just be able to wiggle it out. So I'm gonna work on that, and we'll get back to getting this thing out here in a second. But you gotta get that out, and it's tough because it all goes through this bracket that's a hole, so you can't even get it up to where you can really work on it, see it and work on it. You gotta do it where it is. At least the best I can tell. So back to it in here in just a filter on the other side of that, and these two screws hold it in. The window motor wires are actually attached to that screen. So if I take these screws out and that screen falls away, it gives me a little bit of slack on the window wire and will hopefully give me a little more room to work in here. All right, so that did exactly what I needed it to do. It gave me enough slack that I was able to work that out. I was able to get it to a different position and get it out. So that's unplugged now. And there's that vent I was talking about. This way. We're gonna work it up. There's just a lot of things to get caught up in there, so kind of a pain in the butt, but actually, here it is. And enjoy that. And notice that there wasn't a whole lot of cussing on this. Maybe I internalized it all. I don't know. Enjoy.